I feel so defeated because I'm not liking them the way I want to. Making my way downtown, walking fast, bases blast, and we're stonebound. Ever since the day that you went away, you've been sending flowers to me, flowers today, flowers. Hey guys, welcome. My name is Danielle, and I make lifestyle and commentary videos about whatever I want to. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to be doing my first ever reading vlog. The point, or at least the theme of this reading vlog, is to tackle my Goodreads TBR and try to read as many books under 200 pages as I can. Originally, it was supposed to be all of my books under 200 pages in like a 2-week limit, but then that didn't end up happening, as you'll see in the video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. You're gonna see a lot of ups and downs. You're gonna see me struggling, and I hope that will be entertaining for you. 12 years earlier. Okay, so like 4 days into when I said I was going to start this challenge, and I've finally completed one book. Imagine this was the challenge that I was supposed to speed through because it's so short and easy, but it's fine, whatever. We've been going through some stuff. We've been really busy, and we've been in a bit of a reading slump, but it's all right. It's fine. It's okay. I finished my first book, and I'm gonna consider that a victory. Okay, so what did I think of things have gotten worse since we last spoke? I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know what to say. I don't think it's badly written. I think it's well written. I think it conveys the story well. It gets the emotions across. It gets you angry at some of the characters because of the relationship that they have. I can't even tell you what it's about. Is there even a conclusion? I can't even rate the book, to be honest. I'm gonna have to look up the symbolism and what things mean and what people take from it, because I don't take nothing from it. I don't know what anything means. That's literally all of my thoughts on it, because I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand at all. Yes, I'm gonna read some stuff about it, then come back to you, and then maybe I'll be able to rate it and tell you further what I think about it because of what other people think about it. But I'm gonna give you my own opinion, if that's possible. If the next clip isn't that, then trust and believe I still don't understand the book. But I would have to say it's just something you have to read for yourself. I wouldn't recommend reading it, but if you want to, I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you what to feel about it. You just have to read it for yourself, because it's just one of those things that you just can't explain. But I wouldn't recommend it because of how gruesome. Is gruesome the word? It's just very explicit in the stuff that um it's just very descriptive. Yeah, it's more horror than I realized that it would have been. I didn't know what it would have been, to be honest. I didn't have any concept of what it was about. I just liked the cover and I hear people talk about it. But yeah, I guess I'm glad that I finally know um what it was about. It's the first book on the list that I've been able to finish, so that counts for something. Anyways, next book. The next day. I am so utterly disappointed. That's what I have to say about my reads today. So I read The Princess Saves Herself in this one, and I'm in the middle of, but have already decided how I feel about the second book in that series, which is The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one. So yes, as I said, I was expecting some nice little feminist literature, expecting I don't know, some level of empowerment, some level of intrigue, some nice, interesting, moving poems. And I got none of that really. Not like definitely didn't get very interesting poems. Nothing moving, nothing like that. And to me, maybe it would be empowering to somebody else, but I just found it corny. But there was an attempt, so I'll give the author that, or the poet that, the poet, because you can't really call these poems. You can't. I'm genuinely disappointed because I really wanted to love this. I love poems. I love reading poems, and if you want to read a good collection of poems, read World of Poetry. It's on my bookshelf. Maybe I'll whatever. Read that. Not this. But so far I'm reading The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one. It's much shorter, and you see I had to stop reading it to come and film this because I just couldn't bother reading it. And I know that I'm gonna finish it with the same feelings that I have right now. All that being said, I do like this one more than the first one, because while I still don't feel like they're good poems, like I feel like the message is being delivered a lot better than in The Princess Saves Herself in this one, because I felt like that was all over the place. You don't really know what's going on. The poems themselves are just sentences broken up into 3 lines, like that breaking up a sentence into 3 lines doesn't make it a poem, does not make it moving, doesn't make it good.
2 days later.
Basically 2 days pass and I barely read anything. Like I don't get through one full book. And that's not even bad or anything like that, but compared to the rate I was reading books like last month, I would not have foreseen this. Maybe it's just the fact that it's poems and that's why I'm having trouble reading it, or maybe it's just the fact that I'm in a reading slump. Like, let me tell you, let me defend myself right now. I genuinely think I'm in a reading slump because I was reading so many books and I wasn't really enjoying them that much. So I started some of these what name? Some things I still can't tell you, and it's a poem collection. These are actually poems, as compared to the last 2 poem collections I read. These are actually poems and they're actually good. I think it's just because I read those and I was tired of reading poems that I just genuinely couldn't finish this one. But I did give it a 3-star review, but I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm genuinely shocked that I'm responding this way to poem collections because, as I mentioned before, I read The World of Poetry. See there, it's a school book. It's not a book. And I enjoy most of the poems in there, even though they were for school. I had to be writing literature, like analysis and stuff like that, and I hate doing that. So the fact that I still like the material in there, despite all the horrid memories. I'm really exaggerating, but despite all the horrid memories, really shows that it's a good piece of, like, it's a good body of work. So I was really expecting to like the good poems. So I understand not liking The Princess Saves Herself in this one and The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, but for the one I just finished, or didn't finish, some things I still can't tell you, I was expecting to like eat right through it, since I admittedly was enjoying some of the poems. It's just after a while I was just like, I can't do this anymore, and I don't know is what, but I just say it's better just to just put it aside than force myself to try and read it. I was supposed to go through my TBR so fast, so I'm very disappointed, but I'm gonna keep it moving because I want to read one book that I can give a 5-star. I haven't given a 5. I give 5 stars out so easily, in my opinion. 4 and 5 stars out so easily. And the fact that I haven't had a 5-star review in almost 3 weeks is killing me inside, because I just want to read a book that I enjoy. So hopefully I'm gonna find one of those here. So I started Vinyl Moon, and by started I literally mean I'm only 2 pages into it. Yeah. Vinyl, is that how it's pronounced? Hopefully. But it has a cute cover, and that is what I'm going off of today. I'm literally so stressed. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, I can say that I finished it and probably started another one. I could have confidently said that last week, but it with the new problems that we're facing in Danielle's world, a reading slump, it will probably take longer than usual. So
2 days later.
hey, so I've read 3 books since we last talked. Discussing them in order, we're gonna start with Vinyl Moon. I finished reading that one yesterday, and it was good. It was good. One of the best I've read in a while. So that was the first book that wasn't in about 3 weeks, and that's really good. That's really really good. So it was about this girl that moves from LA or no, California is I don't know. I don't know US geography. She had a lot of family problems that happened, relationship issues, and she's sent away because all of that blows up. And she's sent away after she recovers from a physical altercation of some sort. And she finds herself in New York, finds herself mentally, emotionally, and starts feeling hope for the first time in a long time. And it's really beautiful to see. Favorite part of the book, though, was actually the copious, like the abundance of Caribbean mentions. There was just a lot of mentions of the different countries and different cultures, Caribbean cultures and Caribbean people in New York. I heard that there's a lot of Jamaicans in New York, so maybe this is proving that this is the case. They talked about Jamaican food and people literally like, oh, that made me so happy. It felt like a nice warm hug. The next book I finished was The Ones. What is it? Oh, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. And to be honest, this was only on my TBR because it said or highly believed or has been confirmed, I'm not sure which one it is, that the BTS music video Spring Day was inspired by that book. So that's why I read it. And tell me why this short book, or let's just say short story, packs so much of a punch. Like, I listened to it, I didn't read it myself. Tell me why it was done so quick. Because I was listening and I was like, oh, it's getting me. And it just ends. Now I didn't give it a 5-star, but I did give it 4 stars. Not sure, it just didn't give me that 5-star quality, but it was definitely way too good for something that short. Like, I've written short stories, they're not that good. I just don't think it's possible. To be honest, if I tell you the synopsis, that's just the whole, that's how short it is. If I tell you the synopsis, that's the whole story. So watch it yourself. I mean, read it yourself. Then the last one I read, which I finished today at school, was I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I was so confused. This was actually the first book that I tried to start reading from last week for this whole challenge. This was the first book I tried to start reading, and I'd gone back to it many times. Don't pass the first page because what? I don't understand. So I had to read it with my friend, and we started this morning at school and we finished because we'd actually have to go to class, and then we finished later on in the day at some point. But I had to watch it with her. I had to read it with her, and we had to go back and forth. Like, do you think this is what this means? And do you think this is what this means? But we finally finished it, and it's not a bad book. I gave it a 3 stars. It's not outstanding or anything like that, but it definitely gets you thinking, and I think it's compelling. I think it keeps you going. It's asking you what's gonna happen next. Yeah, I've started another book, and next time you see me, I will be back. The next time you see me, I will be done with yet another book, hopefully. And then we'll go from there.
Much later.
I have no idea how long it's been since I last updated you, but it's definitely been on the longer side of a couple of days. Anyways, I've only completed one more book related to this challenge because I started getting tired of not reading any books or not wanting to read any books and went back into the books I usually read. Anyways, let me just tell you about what I've read. Oh, and I didn't even read it. White Fragility. Why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism, something like that. Anyways, so I was gonna read this and I was really excited, pretty much because I wanted my insight. And then very early on in the book, as a part of the introduction, it's the author, or at least there's multiple authors, but the author refers to them as themselves as one person in the book, but the author says that they're white. Took me aback for a second. In the same sentence or the next sentence, they're like, well, this is also for a white audience. This is for them to introspect, look at themselves, and change their ways, or at least reflect. If not change their ways, at least realize the error of their ways and why that may be so. So I said, okay, that'll do it.
You don't have to worry about me. You do not have to worry about me.
So I stopped reading it and I'm okay with that. I've also started to read the last book, but I started that 3 days ago and it's only 100 pages and I'm like almost at the halfway mark, but it is so boring. It is literally just reassuring me in my belief that classics are boring. It reminds me of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which I ended up liking in the end. I mean, I never disliked it, but there definitely was a part where I was like, oh, this is just her mundane life. Okay, I'm gonna have to get used to this. But since this is basically just a shorter version of that, not similar characters or anything like that, just the mundane life thing where you follow her day and the continuing days and stuff like that. If this is a shorter version of this, like, shouldn't things progress faster? And then you have one really impactful thing in the beginning and then nothing really happens up until where I am, at least. So I genuinely just need to finish that and then this video will be done, but I have no drive in me to complete it. I'll honestly just listen to the rest of it so I can get it out of the way, and then I'll tell you what I think about that later.
3 hours later.
Okay, so I finally finished The Stranger by whoever wrote it. I don't know. But it really wasn't as boring as I was convinced it was in the beginning, but it didn't interest me, so I ended it not really caring about what happened. It's really not badly written at all, and it tells a good story. The story itself is not good, but because of how it's written, I guess it's something that can help you to reflect, to think about your own life and whatever, I guess. So the story, I don't want to spoil anything, but the story just follows this man that would best be described as queer, not as in gay, but weird. Weird or eccentric, different. He doesn't really process emotions the way that it would be considered normal or acceptable, and then that ends up being his downfall. And yeah, that's all I can say. So it's not bad at all. I just really didn't care, so I gave it a 2 stars. Afterward, the princess saves herself in this one, and this one I actually don't think was very good, but the only reason I saw 2 star and I saw 1 star is because the overall premise I was excited for, and sometimes it delivered. There were some poems that I was like, yeah, this hits the mark for me, at least. This is something I can relate to. This is something that I'd never thought about, and it gave me not a new perspective, but something to to lean on, I guess. I don't know how you can lean on a poem, but that's how I felt. And and then the next thing is calling them poems is a loose, very, very loose term, because most of them were sentences separated by the enter button or the enter key. And no, that's not good enough, sweetie. It makes me wonder if the point of it was to be a poem collection, because there's no way. There's no way. Read Vinyl Moon, which I gave a 5-star, 4-star rating. I didn't give it a 5-star rating because there was just, it's not that I have a problem with explanations being given, but the explanations, or it felt like over explained or sometimes unnatural, trying to explain certain concepts in the conversations or in the dialogue. It just felt weird to me sometimes, but other than that, I really enjoyed Vinyl Moon, and it was a lot of Caribbean representation, and that made me very happy. I love seeing Caribbean stuff, anything related to the Caribbean, positive in media, especially when I don't expect to see it. So yay. Honestly, I took a break after this, and then I started to read books not related to this challenge, because I didn't want to finish. I didn't want to finish. I already had a list longer than what I ended up doing, but I was like, Danielle, you're 2 books away from reading 10 books in this challenge. Just read them. And I couldn't bring myself to read them, so I just read other things. And I gave one a 4-star and I gave one a 5-star. So it was a nice break. And then I decided to come back with White Fragility, which I didn't read. And I said why. I was not the audience, and I was like, well, you're making this easier for me. So I didn't read it. I hope it was insightful. I hope it was helpful to the white people that read it. But I was looking in the comments, and most of them were upset, and it's like, why would you source this book if you know that you're racist and you're going to be upset with what the person has to say? But that's not my business. That's not my business. I understand white supremacists and racist people watching a YouTube video and then being upset because a YouTube video is like readily available. Why would you source out a book? Anyways, last book, The Stranger. As I said before, not the worst. It's really not a bad book. I think I was turned off to it from the beginning. Didn't get interested in it because of how this challenge has been going, and I probably didn't give it a proper chance. So honestly, I'll try to read it over and then see if my rating changes from 2 stars. But for now, it's just a 2 stars because I wasn't really that intrigued. I didn't really care that much, but the plot itself really isn't that bad. So anyways, yes, that's the end of this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you sitting through this and listening to my thoughts on the collection of short books that I read. If there's any books that I recommend out of all of these for you to read, is Vinyl Mood and The Ones Who Walk Away from the Omelas. I think that's it. I may be wrong. But those are the ones that I recommend the most. Unfortunately, I didn't give any 5 stars, but I did give 2 4-stars. And the 4 stars that I gave were good enough for me. So, yeah, check them out. Oh, yeah, bye.